Hello, no, I, oi, kora. All right. Like my song, it is good. Hold up. My dark vibes. Let me get different light color. Or is that? Oh no. Whatever. Screw it. It's like being in the darkness. All right. Okay. I'm gonna go off camera. Who needs my white face? No, I just like to meditate when I do readings sometimes. Walk around. Be a weirdo. All right. So, we have a lot in common. Fellow Leo rising, fellow 8th house Pisces, but your moon's there, my sun's there. You got a nice, beautiful 8th house. Jupiter also conjunct South Node. Ooh, I like that. You got what I have, Venus in Aquarius. Very cool. Same house also, for Leo rising. Okay. Okay. And you got that loaded 9th house. So yeah. Okay, I see. Main aspects, Moon square Pluto. And that's the main one, eh? Check it out. Also, Moon conjunct South Node is super interesting. All right, well, let's start from this. Um, so I'm trying to delete everything I know about you. Obviously, this is a rare reading where I know a thing or two about you. However, I do a thing. I don't know how I do it. I think it's like some synchronistic shit. I know it sounds kind of weird, but like it's almost like I have like a spidey sense of like who. I feel like have you gotten a reading? Did you not get a reading from me like a long time ago? I don't remember. I feel like you did. But anyways, um, yeah, I feel like I have like a spidey sense of like I don't know. I just like or I don't even know like because I'm able to really block out a lot. But all right. So I've been starting from I kind of like to know about the big karmic picture because it's like the inner planets, represent your conscious personality, right? The different parts of your psyche, like Mars representing your action, assertiveness function, and Mercury, your cognition, communication, brain, and so forth. So, um, I like to give the big karmic picture because, like, when it comes to that stuff, it's like, yeah, like I can say a good amount, but at the same time, like, I was just watching this comedian today, right? Like, I watch like a lot of comedy content, and I looked at his birth chart, and he like was like so much in Virgo, and I was like, wow, like it was just like not what I expected, and nothing against Virgos not being able to be funny, but it's just I don't know. Like there's so many potentials with that stuff. And the outer planets, like when I really like, look into the karmic stuff, I feel like I can really give a good idea. So you have what I have also. You have Pluto square the nodes. Super interesting. Actually, my last reading I just did have that. Um, so that is like the ultimate like karmic. Like it's super interesting because you have your moon. So your moon square Pluto is the biggest, most important thing in your chart probably. Like that. The reason it's so important is because, and this is, you have such a Plutonian chart, right? Um, because you have all this eighth house in Pisces, right? So you're really here in this lifetime. You like what you're doing is exactly what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be going deep into your own underworld and doing, getting into spirituality and really exploring and, yeah, really getting deep inside. So the square with Pluto in the south node, Pluto square south node represents the skipped karmic step related to past life trauma. And there's all this stuff, you can talk about like themes around um like it's like the idea of you enter this lifetime and yeah, you do have Chiron in your IC, so that would speak to, likely having some level of, maybe childhood, the childhood was, had some real, some pain associated with it, Chiron, some pain that you need to heal, right? Um, which I think, yeah, makes sense, right? Um, but the fact that Pluto is square moon and south node is showing that, whether it's your mother or just your early nurturing, your childhood, your upbringing, any of the trauma in this life, is a complete mimic of this like massive skip karmic step that you're here to overcome, right? So, um, Pluto square the nodes is very, very heavy. I always talk about in my book, about how the most important thing I learned about astrology was that was that my trauma, like my yeah, like basically like I never had I never really had the trauma in this lifetime to add up to the trauma that I showed. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's true for a lot of people with this placement. And then when you learn that, oh shit, like this is like from a past life, like, and then like all the events that happened, like the main, because Pluto square moon is really tough, right? And it oftentimes speaks about some trauma coming up early in life. A lot of times it's around the mother. It could be like a very controlling mother. And it's also like very linked to um a generational curse that you're the one who's meant to break it in your family, right? Passed down trauma, which can exist in many different ways. So, um, the fact that, yeah, it's square the nose, it means that for your personal past life, um, karma, this is like it's such a massive lifetime because you're really meant to break this, right? But there can be lots of themes associated with this. It can be, what can happen if it's not like there's a huge amount of surrender that needs to occur. And if that doesn't happen, there can be this real like kind of power tripping, kind of low vibe Scorpio energy, right? Is what can come from it if the person resists that death rebirth transformation and kind of like, because there can also be with that like issues around abandonment, um all kinds of things, right? So in relationships it can be very, very testy because you know it can create people who use like power games manipulation in order to not, um you know lose their partner, right? So at the end of the day with Pluto square moon, a lot of times it is these early events, which, like I said, they are completely there. There's like a complete parallel in your chart between, and this is why it's such an important lifetime for you, but between what you're going through in this lifetime, right? Between what you're going through in this lifetime on an emotional level, there's that complete parallel, compared to your past lives. And the main shadow work that you're supposed to do. So imagine like you had like a past life, or a few past lives where there's these themes of like power and powerlessness, right? Um, Feeling very, very empowered, and then the opposite. So it's really like being able to find that power from within. And the fact that you're Leo rising, your Pluto's in the fifth house speaks to how, and they actually trine each other. It speaks to this real creative purpose and mission for you in this lifetime. Where you're really, really here to find that authentic self-expression. And you do have nice past life karma, like but like the thing, so having Jupiter conjunct the South Node, you bring through lots of spiritual gifts, and higher perspective and wisdom into this lifetime. Your thing, it's like how do you transform, like, say you have all these amazing ideas, right? The North Node in Virgo is asking you to transform those, what may have stayed as ideas into realities. And sometimes that can be difficult for the person with that alignment in their chart. So there is that big requirement to figure. Virgo is all about figuring out like the step-by-step procedures to make things work. And having no Earth in your chart, like me, we both have no Earth in our chart. It can be extra hard. And I always know that's kind of like an advanced soul. And you're young, you're young, so you're still like. And this is one thing I noticed about you is you have, people think I'm not watching, even though I just kind of told you about how I try not to know things about people who might be my clients, but like, I pick up on things that I'm trying. Like you have this real, like it's like this real, how do I explain it? Like this real curiosity. It's almost like this kind of like this real newness, right? That's the Leo. Um, this real kind of like curiosity and like, but also with your South Node in Pisces, there's some past life mysticism. There's some real past life, like kind of angel compassion, real compassionate energy, which is obviously very nice. But like I'm saying, like the issue is that like with the square, um, the difficulty, the square to hold up one second. Yeah, with the square to Pluto, there can be, it's really about going within your deepest self through your eighth house. You see how like the way I connect everything. Come on, Isma, I need your help. Come on, inside. Come help me, Isma. I don't think she's gonna want to. But yeah, so it's like you see, like I connect everything from like the real karmic stuff to, in my opinion, we have our inner planets in a certain way to work with, like to give us the energy to work, um work with these patterns. So you see how Pluto represents the eighth house, right? Pluto is squaring your South Node, which is conjunct your moon. Pluto is squaring your moon. So and then your moon's in the 8th house. So your goal and your need is to, through being of service to other people, through finding like a deeper sense of spiritual identity. It could even be through something like psychology or astrology, or but like it's not necessarily like, it's an 8th house. It's really about like, allowing yourself to, shed your metaphoric skin at different times in your life, right? And surrender, and not hold on to hate for different people, hate or like, resentments for different people who may have wronged you, being able to let go of that, but also keep firm boundaries, right? Because that's, one of the issues with Pisces, right? Is that they like, the Pisces moon takes in all the energy that's around it and has a lot of difficulty letting it go, or like a lot of it, like difficulty knowing what's theirs and what's not theirs. And with Pluto square moon, or moon square moon, excuse me, like, your mother is very, very it's a very big karmic choice, very, very, it's like she's your mother, um and she, like, her energy, what can happen with this placement is that one can take on like different negative emotions, from their mother, moon is usually mother, and think that it's theirs when it's really not theirs. So it's important, it's with a Pisces moon, because of that real process of osmosis, um, to really figure out what's yours and what's not yours. And it's the same thing for the environments you're in, right? Like whatever environment you're in, like where you work, um, your friends, all that, like all these things are so pivotal for the Pisces moon. And 8th house, people can outgrow people that they grow up with, which can be a little bit awkward. And as Pisces, it's hard to have those boundaries. Um, so, you know, sometimes 8th housers benefit from, like they have to get good at like understanding, okay, what's working for me, what's not working for me. So back to what I was saying, right? Like with this, so the Pluto energy, the best way to work through it is, to really, and it would have hit through, let's see. It was here. So the North Node. So yeah, it's through your North Node of Virgo that things get worked out, and Virgo is about service. So it's about service, and it's also about consistency, right? I was saying how you have, lacking Earth in your chart, it can be very difficult to, to wake up each day and feel like, on the same person each day. People with Earth, like myself, like I was saying, like, mental health can be quite difficult, right? Pisces moon also, especially, when you're in a, like, yeah, so just like all these little things in your life, like they really, really matter. And there's a big need for alone time for Pisces moon. And like I said, with the Pluto, to really like try to to understand that any kind of early traumas, they are all part of the plan, right? Because that's like the healer is meant to go through all of that. Everything that happens to them, they're meant to go through. And a lot of times what can happen is that people can have, a lot of like, oh, like feelings like, life isn't fair, like, this isn't okay. Like, why do I have to go through this, and so forth, right? But at the end of the day, like that's the Dharma, right? That's part of the Dharma, is to first go through certain events, certain energies, and then be able to use them to, kind of like blaze your own path. So, um, yeah, so the fact that Jupiter and the moon are there, and it's like by really trusting your spiritual self and by really being able to understand, okay, like on an emotional level, I need spirituality in my life. I need to feel like this sense of connection and even to connect to past life, right? And to talents that you have from past lives and just have trust in yourself. Like I can do it. That helps you understand your emotions better, right? When you do things that make you feel connected to the greater whole. And Pisces moons, sometimes they can get off track if they're, you know, and the fact that your moon is your south node can be tricky because it's like, your south node is your been there, done that, and it's not a bad thing, but it's definitely a point in the chart that you're trying to move away from the lower part of Pisces energy, which sometimes can be about, like I said, it could be like the person who has all the big dreams that doesn't like follow through, but it can also be, with respect to the square of Pluto, it can be escapism, right? Um, Struggling with substances, like different kinds of like negative escapes, could be a karmic thing. I actually see a lot of people with, Pluto's square South Node who have substance or have had substance abuse issues, right? Myself included. And I think a lot of it comes from having this trauma, and yeah, you have Pluto square the moon too, so it most likely would reflect, yeah, it wouldn't just, like be like a cluelessness, like there would be like something most likely with the mother, with the early nurturing, right? But the point is that, um I see that, like, what, yeah, it can definitely happen, right? And when that's the case, there is, difficulty when it comes to lost my train of thought. Yeah, there can be difficulty with like Pisces South Node, with running away from painful Plutonian darkness and shadow. And you, like, so if you can imagine in this lifetime, if that's something that's happened with you, you can kind of just like imagine like different lifetimes, and like kind of like visualize, like, wow, like imagine me like in different lifetimes, like have like not being able to, um I guess, like kind of like falling short of feeling certain emotions that were needed to be felt, right? So I think like when you think of it like that, it it sort of puts things into perspective. Um, and I think it gives one more confidence, right? Um, More feeling of, okay, I'm doing this, right? This isn't just like some, I'm not weak. I'm not, like, nothing about me is weak. Nothing about me, like, like I can't even remember this. Like this could be so many lifetimes in a row that I'm trying to overcome this energy. And of course, like any type of energy that one can't remember consciously, or maybe they can't, like a big portion of it, they think it's just this lifetime, but it's really this lifetime. What happened is mimicking past lifetimes, so that one can really, really come into contact with the underlying emotions, right, and healing that's needed. Um, when that's the case, it's always going to be, it's just awareness makes everything easier. Awareness makes everything easier. So yeah, that's one of the beauties of astrology. But yeah, with the Jupiter in the eighth with the South Node, that's like a very good karma. I definitely think that it kind of speaks like a very kind of star seed, if you want to use that word, just, person who, there's a lot of been there, done that in respect to helping. And so, it's definitely a sign of like a good, compassionate soul, and someone who, has these different, I guess you could say, different things that kind of run, like different talents that might like that come out when you take that deep spiritual journey within, whether it's through meditation and through learning something like astrology or anything spiritual, right? um but and then, yeah, the moon conjunct south node, it's, there's definitely a great karmic, there's deep karma with you and your mother. But even like moon being, in orbit that's conjunct Jupiter, there could be like, there's definitely lots like there is like a great deal of optimism of being able to see the glass as half full, even during tough times. And anything in respect to the esoteric, the occult, like you'll have like a natural advantage of, I always call it like it's like this bright lantern light, in the areas of life that are the most confusing to other people, right? The say, anything occult, esoteric, anything about say life of life that yeah, so anything like that, um, it's very, very strong. And you might see things that other people don't see, most likely, right? The gates to the unknown are open and you can see in the dark. But yeah, like I said, North Node in Virgo. Virgo is also about purity. And it's just about like, like consistency in your life, and not allowing that lack of earth and the, the inconsistency that, like, there's a certain genius that comes from a certain just real, like, openness that comes from a chart like this, right? But the lack of earth, like, if you know, it's about foundation. So it's about having your mental health in check, your day-to-day mental health, right? About having your life purpose be really in line with that Pisces moon that wants to feel that oneness. Um, and then that Aries sun in the ninth house, that low ninth house, which wants to experience truth, right? It wants to experience higher truth. And a lot of astrologers and people that do things similar to what I do, they have ninth house, or people who end up learning a ton about philosophy and expanding their worldview and their truth, have Aries or Saturn in the ninth house. Well, it's common for astrologers to have that because it gives them a very serious attitude of, towards studying, truth. And ultimately it's your ninth house, your personal truth, that then informs your dharma and what you feel is worth doing in life, right? So if your personal truth is like, I believe that, Joe Biden and, everything CNN says is correct and blah blah blah, and like every, like, like if someone is kind of, I believe everything, I'm science over everything, for example, right? Like if it's not proven, it doesn't exist, astrology's bullshit, blah blah. Like, what you're gonna do for your work is gonna be a lot different than someone who is, thinking like me, for example, right? So a ninth house sun person is meant to travel physically or metaphorically, um, and they gain a lot from that. And they're really, really, it's all about an Aries. It's about blazing a new path to yourself in this lifetime. Which, brings up something interesting, because Aries Sun Pisces Moon, well, my cat Whitey, my amazing cat from, my mom's in California, but he's really my baby. Well, at this point, it's kind of my mom's, but you know, um, he has that. That's someone, a loved one of mine that has your big three, or your sun and moon. But I think it creates like a very, they're two very different energies, right? So one of them is all about action. So there's that real back and forth about, like the Aries and the Leo rising part that's going to really want to be very social and very active and very independent. but then that Pisces moon part is very sensitive. So it's like you can have all these events, all these things you do, but then it's like you have to really, you know what I mean? Like imagine you're doing all these you're doing like a lot of social stuff, right? Like Pisces moon needs alone time, or they can like because they can take in like the negative energy so much easier, right? So the suffering of the world. That's why like I think living in a very like living by water is really really good for a Pisces moon, especially in eighth house, because you can kind of come in contact with your emotions with more ease. Um, but yeah, yeah. The thing with the lack of Earth, it's like almost like think of that as like you need to settle that part of life and then be able to build on top of the other stuff. But like it's hard when you lack Earth, right? So it's also about having self-compassion. And the biggest part of your chart is that surrender. There's so much surrender that's needed with the Pluto square, and just understanding that like Moon square Pluto is one of the hardest, if not the hardest aspect in astrology. But it doesn't mean it's good or bad. Yeah, it's probably it's very hard early on for most, but over time it can be something that is very advantageous. So let's see, let's see. Hmm. So yeah, being able to kind of like, let's say a big part of your life is about independence, about finding yourself creatively, authentic self-expression, right? So past lives where, another thing with South and Pisces is sometimes they like because like there can sometimes with the square to Pluto, like there could have just been like um this past life trauma that's been carried on that's kind of like made you kind of disassociate from yourself, right? So it's about really facing reality, right? Facing it, but like when you think of those emotions the energies that you're facing during really tough times, doesn't that change everything to feel like this is what I'm facing right now? The energy is maybe like in 4 lifetimes or in multiple lifetimes, like it's something that I didn't face the right way, and I have the opportunity right now to, get it correct. So I feel like to me, I always felt like that was like an amazing thing. Um, but yeah, like there is that big push to be social and to meet lots of people and to shine and all that. But then also being very mindful that unlike if you were like, let's say, a Sag moon with the other two in fire, you're like you can you need to really like know what's yours and what's not yours. Partnerships too, right? Partnerships too. So um yeah, I mean there's a lot in the ninth house in Aries, right? Aries Mars makes you very, very assertive, and you're a truth seeker. You're going towards the truth and you're going towards a new truth. So um Mercury there, you want to talk about it. You want to express your ideas in an assertive way. Um, and it's with Saturn, which is a really good indicator of intelligence. Saturn conjunct Mercury. For the first 30 years, there can be some issues with shyness sometimes, but I don't really see that with like with the sinus and all that. But like Saturn represents memory and Mercury represents intelligence. So conjunction is those two being able to work together and being able to be organized when you, especially like it's this, eighth house moon, when you really get into something, you can really go full on in. So that is nice. And Saturn with Mars, the fact that Saturn is, aspecting Mercury and Mars, it emphasizes the importance of the Saturn return for you, and just like how massive that's going to be. And 29, like around that age, 20 and a half. So um and even like the ninth house Saturn, it could just make it so traveling and the real expansion, like the real highest level of like expansion, can come around that, after that time. So everything with Saturn gets easier with time. Um, and yeah, the Mars conjunct Saturn is a lot of like very successful people have that, and it definitely makes the first 30 years difficult, right? And so one really important thing in the chart like yours is to know that anything difficult you've gone through in your first 30 years, there's a bunch of fate there, and to not have any shame about it, because people with charts like yours, they will have that, like those difficulties, that someone that has, let's say, like no Pluto energy, like people like with charts like yours, they have to face their shadow really early on in life, and it's too much for a kid, you know. um but a lot of people who don't have this gift of astrology will just look at it and be like, oh fuck, I suck, or like, oh fuck, there's some character flaw. No, there's no character flaw. If you didn't want to take on such intense karma this lifetime, you wouldn't have chosen your family. You wouldn't have chosen those circumstances. You see what I'm saying? So that's really, really, really important to always keep in mind. Really important. Um, hmm. All right. But remember, you're always like the eighth and ninth, sun and moon. It's like this real balance between outer and inner truth. So like that's why you need to spend this like time alone, like not all the time, but like kind of periodically, to re-examine and re-find your truth. And it's really in that kind of, and all, but also through examining, like that's why psychology is such a great thing for someone with a chart like this, because it's like, when you're able to really go deep within other people, and kind of see how other people work, and learn, and even learning about the occult, esoteric, anything that helps you understand the human psyche better, and just like the unknown realms better, like that increases your power, and it unlocks past life gifts that help you. But remember, like everything is built on on the foundations of how you can kind of, so like with earth, like what, like there's different remedies, like working, like doing things with your hands, really, really taking things slowly, right? So like I made a video, I didn't release it just before I started this, about like the importance of like being able to just take things really, really slow, right? If you ever feel rushed in anything, that's not good. That's showing that, like, because like in America, the conditioning is very much like go, 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 right? And if you're not productive, it's almost like there's like a shame that can come up, right? And I have that too, and I have to work through that, in days where, because we're not machines, right? And it's just like it's better to walk 10 steps in the right direction than 1,000 steps in the wrong direction. So and I get that, like, there's not really a wrong direction, and like everything is part of like an experience. And even if like one like does like a career for 20 years, and then they have some spiritual awakening, and they like completely want to do something else, I get it, but I'm just saying that, like, that's like the whole ninth and eighth. The eighth is about going into your shadow and recognizing, okay, this is what like who I am, like this is my, this is like what I'm about, that kind of stuff. And the ninth is about going out in the world, and through your experiences traveling, or learning from people with different philosophies, different worldviews, that challenging, always being open to being wrong and always challenging your pre-existing worldviews, that is the highest growth. So yeah, lots of importance there. Let's see. And yeah, like also like karmically, like you're trying to get past this you're trying to find all, like you're trying to like become someone who finds everything internally, right? Who finds their, you know, who's able to go deep within themselves and find their purpose and their meaning. Um, not just not relying on like, on connections and over relying on external symbols of power. Like so like an example is meditation, right? Like when you meditate and learn mindfulness, you have an um internal uh, it's a real internal skill, right? And whenever you're in, and if you, and also it's about creating, this real sense of values that are just related to you, not related to other people. um and then making all your decisions based off of those. But really like a north node in the second house, which is Taurus. So like, yeah, like going on hikes is really good. Just being with earth, like doing things that connect you to the earth. That's, a game changer. Really is. um mm, okay. But yeah, like a Leo rising, it makes the house of the sun super important. So yeah, being, the house of Sagittarius, um Aries, like it is a new beginning for you in this real, like you are a seeker, so you are meant to take risks. And the Jupiterian, gets reward. Jupiter on your moon, your sun ruled by Jupiter, like gets rewarded by, like when they take, healthy risks, right? um so I feel like, the first phase of your life, it's like very karmic. It's really about like, like, and also like, because you have, oh, actually, never mind, that's not true. I was about to say. So yeah, like I feel like with a chart like this, the first stage of life is the healing. And then, and it's not like it has to be the Saturn, it's like, it's based on, like it's not like it's only the Saturn return that someone is healed, right? No. Um, it's based on when, on the work you do and all that. I know you're doing lots of work. Um, but yeah, like really having like a, like for people with this type of nodal energy, it's like the the day by day stuff they do that for other people might just be like whatever, like the workouts, the diet, like the journaling, all these things like that has like a spiritual basis to it, right? So just remember that you're at a disadvantage in that way, and finding little things like and I know for someone who lacks earth, it's tough to have, like, routines are boring, like fuck routines, right? But like it still is, it's just really good to have like a balance with that, and to try to at least like have like a, like understand what works for you. Because you as a Pisces moon, you'd be more sensitive to things than others, right? What, so like things that might not bother other people might bother you. So it's really understanding like what works for you and what does not work for you. And remember your environment, your environment, your environment, your environment. So, so important. I can't stress it enough. Um, so the way you'll know, like with the Pluto square moon, you can really go from like really extremes in emotion. And it's an Aries moon. That's why an Aries moon needs to work out. Like I don't care, or like you do. You have a lot of Aries energy because the frustration can really build up, and someone with that like could definitely have the potential to offload it on people that don't deserve it. So, um, you know, it's just important. Um, because yeah, Aries Mars is like the most strong like energy, but it can just get pissed off and just attack, and just um like have a short fuse. Um, but the fact that it is with Saturn gives you a great advantage, and actually it actually makes you able to hold that energy back a lot more. And like I said, so many successful people have Mars in Saturn in conjunction, square, opposition. I see it all the time. And what can happen is it makes one have to really work hard in their first 3 years. They have to work, 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 work. And sometimes it's like 4 steps, 3 steps forward, 4 steps back, and then they get to the return, um, and things just get easier. Things just get easier, and suddenly they're kept with that same determination without the BS, right? It's a blessing. So it's just important to kind of keep that firm footing, keep that firm footing and just and not and just know that like with this and with the Mercury stuff too, like everything, those two aspects, Mars and Mercury, which also ultimately your ninth house, right? It's going to open up. So like you're going to have more and more downloads and more like opportunities to travel and to learn, teachers, all that stuff. But right now you're doing a great job. Well, from what I see, you're doing a great job at throwing yourself into situations of learning. And I think you have a very good compass, intuitive compass. And it's just with the Pisces moon, it's learning to just rely more and more on that. But also knowing that like what if you're off balance, and this goes for me too. So I'm not just saying this, I'm not talking shit right now. Like us people who are Pisces, sun or moon, who have no earth, like we like everything depends on um on our routine, on our balance. If we're not doing these things, like our system that works for us, like everything can get fucked, you know? So yeah, but that ninth house is very strong, and um it's really cool that you're into mysticism, because some people with ninth house suns, it takes until they turn 29, 30, 31 to really open up to that. So you're already ahead of your game, ahead of the game, which is awesome. And I think that comes from this intuitive past life knowledge of like the occult, the esoteric, with the Pisces South Node. So remember, you're overcoming, like this is a super important lifetime for you. Um, and you're doing some big girl stuff that it takes a wise soul like me and you to take on our deepest shadow, and really say I'm going to encounter my underworld in my personal underworld in this lifetime, right? So remember, the soul never signs up for something that isn't ready for. So yeah. Um. So yeah, I think that the deeper you have like a spiritual relationship with yourself, and the more you can be of service, and the more that you kind of feel like this real, like almost like family cancer energy with humanity, right? That's like your sweet spot. So like having like some type of like probably like job, like where you feel like you can really be of service. I think that is probably the best thing with that part of fortune. Um, hmm. And you don't have many hard aspects. It really is that, mainly that one. But yeah, like a lot of energy, like the floodgates will really, really open post Saturn return. But until then, you're just gaining in more and more awareness. And it's all about for ninth house, right? You're meant to try so much shit, but not too much, not to worry. But the biggest waste you can have is if you just like, and I know you're not like this, but is if you were just like, if you had the mindset of like, okay, I know so much, other people don't know shit. Like that's kind of part of the energy. The lesson is like, even like you can learn something from everybody, right? Doesn't matter who, you can learn something from anybody. So, um, you also definitely probably have like a great talent of healing people with your voice and just like being able to put people at ease with your kind of communication. Um, knowing, like because with the Chiron, Chiron Scorpio, like there is definitely like this like deep spiritual pain, right? Um, energetic pain, which speaks to your pain around your karmic pain, right? And your the plutonian pain. So, you know, the I would literally like look up as many articles and YouTube videos as you can because they can literally they're like I would watch as many videos and read as many articles of natal Pluto square moon and just think of that as like the most important thing and then think about how what it says in those articles can like literally reflect your your past life and think about like how that energy um plays out in this life for you and how that like you like it's like okay you're having this mother this father to this upbringing so that it puts you in touch with certain pain certain emotions that are similar to the ones you felt in past life so that you can heal them right like if you just had like a perfect life right it's all jolly bolly folly holly molly bolly golly jolly um you're not going to be it's like the person who just isolates and then isn't doesn't have to put themselves in situations where they have to see if they actually grew. So yeah, let's see here. Let's see here. Let's see here. Let's see here. Um, hmm, Venus right on the descendant. Very nice. What could we get? Yeah. So like I said, the Jupiter in Pisces is like just it expands everything related to compassion. It's a really good placement. The eighth house is like people with that just got it. They just have it. They just have it when it comes to being able to see the big picture. And sometimes it can be very frustrating because you're like, why the fuck do other people not get it? Why the fuck do other people not understand what I understand so obviously? But it makes the idea of being this healer very, very easy for you and come very, very naturally. Um, but you can only help other people when you're able to help yourself. Remember the thing I told you. Remember this for your whole life, that everything that you have gone through to start your life, do not have any shame ever about it. Okay? Because people, that's how a lot of people get tripped up, is that like it's all was meant to happen, and be grateful that it happened. I know it sounds probably hard that you've been through a lot, but like this needed to happen because like you don't even understand what's coming next. Like you're so young, mid 20s, and you've already been through, you're already like becoming a healer. You're in that. So even if the progress isn't just so linear, it's never linear. It's always fucking hard, but like that Aries energy is just that strength to keep going. So, being able to be a leader as well as Aries, ninth house, leader, a thought leader, a teacher, right? And, just spending a lot of time just like learning from different people. That's the best. And yeah, like with the eighth house moon, people with the eighth house moon, like they are gonna go through these real extreme phases in their life, um, where it's that death, rebirth, transformation, but it's on a very unconscious level. So it goes back to the idea of needing to let go, you know, like the whole the whole thing, like in the recovery from like the drug stuff. When I went through that for myself, they always said things like it's your thinking that got you here. um so it's time to like listen to someone else, right? So that always kind of stuck with me because it makes sense. And I just think it's really important for energy like this to just be so open to different perspectives. But like the thing about the Pisces moon is that you have to watch out for energy vampires, right? But being that you have a Venus in Aquarius like I do, and a seventh house Uranus, you're gonna be someone in love who does require a level of space and just like a very different type of relationship. But as I was saying with the eighth house moon, there is that kind of constant process of like of growing and letting go. And kind of admitting that like, yeah, like just like, feeling like you will feel like reborn. Like there's like different yous at different life periods of your life where it's like you feel like there's an actress. I always say it's like an actress, or it's an actress playing you because you're so different. um so, and like I know everyone like does go through growth, but like the eighth housers, Plutonians, like that growth is like on steroids. And the fact that you have the moon square Pluto, it jumpstarts it. It's like, okay, you're gonna go through this early on, so that you know in your mid 20s or whenever you are ready to. It's kind of like a jump start, but the person also has to learn um to kind of be a kid also. And that goes to the Leo rising, because sometimes people with moon square Pluto, if there is trauma, with the mom, or the early upbringing or whatever, like they like emotional stunting, there can be trauma that kind of leads the person, you know maturity wise, where they were at a young age. So it's important for them to kind of remember like to lean into that Leo energy of a lot, not yeah, just being goofy and not and that's another thing that being a Leo rising is so good for, right? And being an Aries, like they like to have fun. So props to that. But yeah, so just like, once again, boundaries with friends, boundaries with work environment, finding something that, like I forget what you do, like if you're in school or I can't remember. I'm happy I can't remember because I don't want to know. I like to know nothing as little as possible. But yeah, like psychology. Are you studying psychology? Or did you study psychology? I can't remember. But yeah, like anything to help people is gonna connect you to that Pisces energy so deeply, and it's gonna make everything in life. So with relationships, um, having an eighth house moon, obviously there is that feeling of, intensity that kind of it just you definitely will learn, like there is that kind of desire for that real spiritual bond with a partner, that real deep 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 energy that kind of ties you to that other person on like two souls becoming one type vibe. However, the fact that your Venus is in Aqua on the descendant, the very strong Venus, it gives you the ability to really see the beauty in in a partner. That's a really, really the best thing about a seventh house Venus is it's very good for love. And you're able to really see the best. But then when you have Neptune there and in whole sign, Neptune is in, it's there in the seventh, and that can kind of give, and with the Pisces moon, that can give the rose colored glasses in love, right? You really have to take things slow, um, and just know that, like, Pisces energy and love can really just, um, I guess, believe, it can just be really unrealistic. So it's really important to be realistic and to, yeah, be realistic and understand that that potential exists. But like, the big thing is like as an Aries, it's all about independence. And then, Aries Mars also, there's that new, there's that kind of like push towards being an independent person. Venus and Aquarius, they are the types of people that they will love someone, be with someone because of the intellectual connection, even like the most eccentric people, right? You probably like a lot of my ideas about the Aquarian relationship, about like something where there's a lot of space, where there's energetic resets. You need the freedom to like really be you, you know? I know like that can be said about every human, but more than most, more than most. It's very, very important because if you don't get it, like relationships can kind of feel like a prison, um, for that placement. So it's not good. Um, so the ideal relationship, I think, but then, as a Pisces moons, they do need that closeness, but they also need their own personal space. So it's that real kind of like just knowing that it's not going to, that the ideal relationship for you is not going to be most likely the traditional, like this is how it works for everyone, blah blah blah. Like, it's going to be your own thing. So, but sometimes people like who have that, they can get a little bit of shame or feel like, oh, what is it with me, right? Why am I so different? So it's just like, they when they gain acceptance, like, okay, and they start owning, like, okay, yeah, I'm just different, everything gets easier. Um, and then Uranus being there is kind of putting that, that on steroids, the Aquarius energy in love. And and even if we're looking at this in the Placidus, like having Uranus and Neptune would be in the sixth, that would speak to like someone who, you know, like that's where I have mine, like someone who like Uranus in the sixth, like hates schedules, like wants to have like a very eccentric type of schedule that meets their own individual needs. Like for me, it's like going to bed super late. Um, you know, my days are my night, my nights are my day. Um, and, and just some real variety. It could like really change a lot. But it just makes it so like, the whole traditional like 9 to 5 can be very difficult for someone. And Neptune the sixth, they can struggle so much with the whole 9 to 5 life. They really want spirituality to be playing out in their daily life, right? And they can get really, really, really like just feel like, very, very off if they're just living kind of like a life that's like repetitive. So they want to feel like this sense of inspiration in their day to day. So that's kind of the energy there. So yeah, when you kind of combine that, I just always think with with that placement, it's just so important to like in the seventh, like the Neptune person has to really take things slow. If Pisces moon, they really have to like to have like that grounded friend that they can come to and be like, hey, like, I met this person. Um, like what do you think? Having that Virgo friend. Um, because yeah, it's just like sometimes they can ignore the red flags that to others are very obvious, right? And I've been guilty of that in the past. And there can also be potential for codependency. And that's why the Pisces moon, like once you give your moon sign what it needs, right? That real like kind of connection to the magical world and to the oneness that is, um, everything changes, right? Everything changes. So, and then that kind of Neptunian fog that can exist, it starts to go away and it gets replaced by clarity and by really like connection to God, connection to divine. So yeah, that's why it's so, so important. Um, Also with love, like it's really important to have someone that's not pushing away from that north node. So like, for example, a partner that's like obviously someone that's partying all the time isn't good, but it would be nice to have someone that can, not push away, but don't ever think like I never would say like this sign is good, this sign is bad, because you can have someone that has no earth in their chart, but if your guys' composite chart has a lot of earth, then it kind of creates that earth energy in your life. That's how it is for me and my girlfriend. She has no earth, I have no earth, but together our composite chart has a lot of Capricorn. So there's kind of like an earth synergetic effect when we're in the same place. So also your Juno is in it's in Virgo as well. So that actually kind of backs up what I was just saying of how good it could be for you to have a partner who's very, very consistent, very grounded, where it doesn't you know, very understanding also, right? So where there's no like added anxiety, right? You don't need any added anxiety in your life because with a Pisces moon can have quite a bit of anxiety, which is square. It can feel like a Pisces / Scorpio moon mixed with a little Sag, right? Because like I said, like even though you go through all this darkness, that Jupiter controlling your moon, it gives you the ability to really kind of like see the silver lining and to see the large perspective. You know what I mean? So it's really nice one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, just a consistent person would be like kind of your ideal mate. Also fixed fire, like Leo rising, like once Leo risings like really get themselves going, and they're like it's all about like doing something. It's not it's all it's not doing it for the cheers and the views. It's doing it for what really feels good. It's like the idea of like in your life, like creating the painting or the poem for the sake of yourself and your creative expression, as opposed to trying to please other people or trying to like fill in what the conditioned self conditioning says it's supposed to be creative, right? So yeah, so I just think in Aquarius 7th house mixed with the Virgo, there is that mix of of like of kind of this need for, like this real desire for that consistent person, but then also it's someone who understands your quirks. And Venus and Aquarius, they tend to really like knowledge. They do well with things of that things related to the future. They're forward thinkers. They value they value things that are just different, eccentric, and that are free. They value freedom a lot, right? They really love freedom of speech too, and that Aries energy also does that. So um Vertex in the sixth, you really in Capricorn, you could actually like working with rocks, like crystals and stuff, could be really really healing for you. Also animals can be really really healing, and but your doorway to higher awareness, it backs up your north node. It's like through being of service and through having that consistency in your daily life, and having like a career / something you're doing that really really you feel like is adding to society metaphysically. Remember, it's the metaphysical value that matters most. So mm, mm, mm. And then you have Palace, like also like in Pisces, so that's like really about that's really about that's like a very very open third eye placement. I love that placement. um and you're able to really with the Jupiter see the realms that others do not see. It's really dope, really badass. And hmm, Sirius in Aries, it just it's kind of like a mini a second moon, but not obviously even close to as important. And that just speaks to just like it's how you feel nurtured and how you nurture. So you nurture by giving other people independence, and you feel nurtured when other people allow you the freedom to be your individual self. Because like I was beginning to say, I didn't finish, like Leo risings, they need to just find things that really light their fire. And then because it's fixed fire, it's what makes Leo so special, right? Also Leo risings, they had that, I made that post yesterday about like the forever young, like how like staying young is like it's a skill. right? I thought about that. I was like, in that, I was like, what signs? That reminds me of Leo, Sag, Gemini, mostly Leo though. It's the forever young. So, but like not like an immature way, but like like if you meet like someone like who's older who has like a Leo moon, like my mom's Leo moon, she still has like a youthful, fun energy, even though she's a Virgo, right? Virgo sun. So that's kind of like what you see, what you see with people like that, right? Um, Then also you have Vesta on your midheaven in Taurus. That makes you like a very like consistent, persistent like worker. Um, and you can really work towards something like a very like predictable manner, which Leo risings can. Like I can't stress enough, like Leo risings, there's the inner child stuff, but then there's also that ability to to actually like unlike like and you have Aries too, so it's like you're definitely someone who can be a self-starter. Um, but yeah, like it's cool to have that and to really be able to like have so many passions, because people who lack fire, they lack the ability to just like become passionate in something, right? Um, and that's definitely not the case for your chart. Um, but yeah, and that's the on the midheaven, that just makes one like very, very dedicated to their career, and having it in Taurus, it's like a level of like consistency that's wanted through your career. So it's just definitely a beautiful thing. Mhm. So, oh yeah, Eris on your Mars also. That's like the ultra volcanic placement. So, hold on, sorry. All right, I just have to check something real quick. Yeah, we have a really awesome chart. So much in common with me. And we'll see what else is up. What is happening? Sorry, I'm trying to get something. Okay, whatever. Also, Palace conjunct South Node is like some real like third eye. Like you have gifts, you have spiritual gifts. So you, it's like muscles. It's like going. It's like yeah, you could be like LeBron James, but imagine if LeBron never like actually went to the gym, actually like 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 got stronger and got better. Um. Okay, let's pull some of these bad boys up. And yeah, the Pluto fifth house people like they feel like they have this deep, deep spiritual or not create kind of need to find authentic self-expression in this lifetime. Um, so yeah. Yo, what the fuck? Where you shit? All right, it's something kind of important. Yeah, damn, just got it. Oh my god. Okay, cool. So, anyways, let's pull. Yeah, so it's very clear, the direction needed. Also, Black with Lilith and Libra, very important. Third house. You at your lowest vibration in the area where you can defeat yourself is by being too nice, and by you know, you need like indecision comes from not having a firm enough like personal kind of set of abiding rules, right? So when you have that, like it's like a personal constitution, everything is possible. So, Black Moon Lilith and Libra sometimes like can allow people to push them around because they don't want to like upset. So it upset like the energy around. So becoming okay with that. All right, fixed stars. Let's see. Mm, mm, mm. Okay. Mhm. Okay. Alpha rats. There's that one there. Mm-hmm. Those and okay. So you have Fomalhaut, one of the royal stars, pretty close to. It's like a degree and a half away from your moon. So you know, it's not like close. But because it is such an important one, you know, it will have that ability to give you like this real divine inspiration. But the moon, it's not so important. But it does give like a lot of like potential for um, for success and just kind of having like a very illustrious life, becoming very like distinguished. Um, Actually, Fomalhaut does have like a pretty big influence with Sun and Moon more than most stars. Um, and usually like it's around like the idea, like kind of I said, like you know, lots of like eventual gain after like some real difficulty, which goes with like the Saturnian theme. Um, and overall, like I said, you have this ability to really like it's like the most magical Pisces energy, right? So it's like the ability to have like this divine imagination. So and then Alpharots with Mars gives one like a very lots of business success potential. Very sharp mind, lots of energy. Um, and uh, Neptune. So with Altair, it says oversensitive, distasteful environment, high ideals, mystic, drifts without personal effort, secret enemies, and trouble through occultism. Okay. That one's not gonna be that heavy. And yeah, that's essentially. Oh yeah. I don't know if anything will show up because Pluto, these fixed stars are mostly with like the ancients, and Pluto wasn't really around. Yes, there's nothing. Okay. Well, this is really fun. Ooh, also like Quar, like with Pluto, like I mean, I can just imagine like that with Antares just speak like kind of like a real gritty kind of like difficulty, like upcoming, or like 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 yeah, just like start of life. So lots of healing, which is something that I've obviously touched on in many ways. I'm gonna look at one more thing. Mm, no, move, very sure. I know there's nothing. Hey, Esme, you want to help me? Oh yeah, also having like the trine with yeah with your ascendant and Mars and then Pluto in your ascendant, like it just gives you this real firepower, like when you want, like you can just go, but it also speaks like potential like really good like athletic ability, that's very 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 possible. And like Venus on the descendant with you're like that can make you like a really good like artist. So there's lots of talents in your chart. Um, look at one of the things. Nope, no out of bounds planets. All right, thank you so much. I appreciate you, and I will get this sent. Ciao. All right, bye bye.